If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, and subscribe to my YouTube channel, as well as follow me and subscribe to me on all my other social media platforms. What's up, Thrashers, and welcome back once again to the Thrash Maniac 99 YouTube channel, and I am back with a new episode of Under the Radar for you guys. And this week we are talking 3 albums that came out on September 1st. Man, I can't believe it's already September this year. It has gone by quick. And before I get started, I would like to kind of refute myself on the Soen review. Going back, thinking about it, I really overrated that album. Now, I'm not saying this because there's been a lot of people that don't like the album. I still enjoy it, but it's not going to be a 10 out of 10. In fact, I'm going to reduce it down to about a 7.5. It's still good, but definitely lacks in comparison to other Soen albums. But moving on from that can of worms, we're going to get started with Under the Radar this week with Primal Fear with Code Red. So, of course, these legendary German power metal masters are back at it again. 14 albums since 1997. These guys remain consistent, and, well, if there's one thing this album is, consistent. Classic heavy metal chugging riffs, high energy speed, awesome, like, galloping D-beat stomps, epic melodies, awesome guitar solos, some even harmonized. The vocals, Ralph's vocals, continue to just sound awesome. And even the production, well done production, solid mix, still retaining grit, but still making sure everything is audible. If I were to find anything to complain about this album, it might be a little bit too bloated. Like, the album as a whole is nearly an hour long. Maybe they could have whittled some ideas down and trimmed the fat on some of these songs, but for what it is, it's a pretty damn good album. After all, Primal Fear, I don't even know of a bad Primal Fear album, and I probably haven't listened to that, so I'm going to give this 8 out of 10. I thought this was actually some pretty solid power metal, and yeah, not the biggest power metal fan, but when power metal is done right, kind of like Primal Fear here, I actually get into it. But now moving on to the second album, and it's one that I thought was going to come out last week, but it got pushed to this week, and that is Rotten Casket with Zombicron. So this is the debut full-length from this Dutch/German death metal supergroup, for lack of a better term. I went over their EP last year, First Nail in the Casket. Now I'm checking out their full-length Zombicron. So for those who don't know, Rotten Casket, like I said, bit of a supergroup. You got 2 guys who kind of started this band, but they've picked up 3 big members. Rorik from Sodom on guitars, Stefan Husky Huskins from Asphyx on drums, and Martin Van Drunen from Asphyx on vocals. So it's somewhat of a hybrid of Asphyx and Sodom members, but with 2 other guys that got the band going in the beginning. But yeah, this is just straight up old school death metal. It's very Swedish death metal inspired. Like, that Boss HM2 tone is all over this. But musically, it's kind of all over the map. You get some doomy breaks, some hardcore grooves, punky D beats, thrashy moments, and even the melodies that come up here and there on this album definitely harken back to the old school Swedish death metal sound. Gritty production. This almost feels like it should have come out in the early 90s. And then one thing that's actually kind of cool, they get a little bit humorous on some of these songs, especially the title, Necrolympics. That might be one of the best song titles I have ever heard. I'm surprised nobody else thought of that first. But musically, kind of all over the map. This is their first album, so maybe if they get another album out, they'll get some ideas fleshed out. But if you are a fan of bands like Entombed, Gatecreeper, even Asphyx and Unleashed, you might dig it. I give it 8.5 out of 10. I thought this was a pretty damn good debut. But again, I feel like they gotta have some ideas fleshed out for their sophomore effort, if we get one. And I'll be curious to check that out whenever it happens. But now on to the final album of the week, and that is Taake with It have Avstand. So this is my first time checking out this band. This has been one of those Norwegian black metal acts that I have slept on, never really got around to listening to anything of theirs, but when I saw that this guy, because it's a one-man band, had a new album coming out, I was like, you know what, I'll give it a listen. Hell, this was originally going to be reviewed with Marduk, but when I heard the Soen album came out, I was going to do Soen and Marduk. But here we are with Taake. So yeah, one-man Norwegian black metal project, and this is the kind of black metal I like. Sure, you still get some blast beats and some icy cold tremolo riffs, but aside from that, it gets riffy. Like, there are some notable pronounced riffs that aren't just about blazing tremolos, like, you actually get some, like, cool, cold triplet sections. It gets really melodic at times. There's even some touches of classic heavy metal on here, and when the tremolos do show up, they're more epic rather than cold, I would say. And even on one track, there was some flat-out hard rock riffs coming into the picture. This almost reminds me of a mix of the classic second wave Norwegian black metal sound, but also a little bit of the Swedish melodic black metal style from, like, Dissection and Sacramentum kind of meshed together, because the melodies are quite prominent, and the production, lo-fi, but a decent mix. Overall, I was really impressed. So if you are a fan of bands like Carpathian Forest, Dark Throne especially, Satyricon, and even Shooter, definitely check it out. This might be up there among the best black metal albums I've heard this year. 9 out of 10. This is some really damn good stuff. But of course, these are all just my opinions. What did you guys think of the following albums I talked about? They will be in the description box for you guys to check out. And until next time, keep your horns high and your dreams wet.